You've probably done this thousands of times without thinking about it. You wake up, walk into the kitchen half asleep, pour a cup of coffee, and within minutes, it feels like your brain slowly switches back on. The fog lifts, your mood improves, and suddenly, you feel ready for the day. It feels normal and almost harmless. But what's interesting is that if coffee is only supposed to help you wake up, then why do millions of people feel awful the moment they stop drinking it? Why do headaches appear? Exhaustion takes over? And why does your body suddenly feel like something important has gone missing? Because the strange truth is that coffee may not just be waking you up at all. Imagine someone who has followed the same routine for years. Every morning begins with coffee. 1 cup turns into 2, sometimes 3, and eventually it becomes part of life itself. It isn't really a decision anymore. It's automatic. Then one day they decide to stop. At first it feels good. There's almost a sense of freedom because they tell themselves they are finally breaking a habit and taking control back. But the next morning, something feels different. They wake up feeling heavier than usual. Their mind feels slower and their body feels strange. They sit in the kitchen staring at a glass of orange juice where a cup of coffee would normally be sitting. And suddenly they realize something uncomfortable. Maybe they needed coffee more than they thought. And that raises a bigger question. What exactly has coffee been doing inside the body all this time? At its simplest level, coffee is really just a delivery system, because the star of the show isn't actually coffee itself, it's caffeine. You can think of caffeine like someone standing in front of your brain's sleep signals and blocking them from reaching you. Throughout the day, your body naturally builds up a chemical called adenosine. Think of adenosine as pressure, slowly building inside a pipe. The longer you're awake, the more pressure builds, and eventually, your body receives the message that it's getting tired. Caffeine interrupts that message. Instead of letting the signal through, it blocks it, which means you feel awake even though your body may still be exhausted underneath. At first, this seems perfectly fine, but that isn't what is actually happening anymore. Because after enough time, your body starts adapting, and this is where things change. The first 24 hours. After your final cup of coffee, nothing dramatic happens immediately. In fact, for a few hours you feel normal because caffeine is still moving through your bloodstream, still blocking those sleep signals, and still convincing your brain that everything is fine. But slowly, the amount starts falling. Then your body notices something. No replacement is coming. Somewhere between 12 and 24 hours later, withdrawal can begin. And for many people, the first symptom arrives like a wave, a headache. Not just an ordinary headache either. Sometimes it feels like pressure building behind your eyes, almost as if your brain itself is complaining. The reason is strange. Coffee causes blood vessels in the brain to narrow slightly. Your body adapts to this over time because that's what it expects every day. But now caffeine is gone. Suddenly those blood vessels expand back toward normal again, and the rapid shift can create pain. But headaches are only the beginning, because now your brain starts fighting back. Your brain panics as the day continues. Something starts happening inside your head. You can't focus. Simple tasks suddenly feel harder. You read the same sentence 3 times, and you stare at your screen, and somehow 20 minutes disappear. You might think this is because coffee gives energy, and now the energy is gone. But here's what's interesting. Coffee doesn't really create energy. A cup of black coffee has almost no calories at all. It isn't adding fuel into your body. Instead, it's changing how your brain interprets what you're feeling. Without caffeine blocking adenosine anymore, those tired signals rush back all at once. And now your brain is experiencing something it hasn't felt properly in a long time. Its own natural chemistry. Which leads to a bigger problem, because your mood is about to change too. Day 2. You would probably expect the second day to feel better. Unfortunately, for many people, it's actually worse. You wake up feeling even more exhausted than before. The headache may still be there, and now something else starts appearing. Irritation. Small things suddenly feel bigger than they should. Someone talks too loudly. Traffic feels more annoying. Even messages become frustrating. You may even feel anxious or strangely sad for no obvious reason. And the reason goes deeper than simply missing coffee. Because your brain has spent years adjusting itself around caffeine. Chemicals linked to motivation, mood, alertness, and reward, all adapted to the daily routine you created. Now your brain is trying to rebuild balance without it, but your body is trying to remember how to function on its own again. The turning point. Then after several difficult days, something starts changing. The headaches become weaker, and your body begins settling down. You suddenly realize that you aren't thinking about coffee every few minutes anymore. And little by little, your natural systems begin taking control again. Your blood pressure can start returning toward more stable levels. Your stress hormones begin calming down. And perhaps most importantly, your sleep starts changing. Because while millions of people drink coffee to feel awake, caffeine can quietly interfere with sleep, long after you think it's gone. Even coffee consumed late in the afternoon can still be affecting your brain hours later. For years, you may have thought coffee was fixing your exhaustion. But what if part of the exhaustion was being created by the cycle itself? 2 weeks later, around 1 or 2 weeks later, something surprising can happen. You wake up and you just feel normal. Not coffee normal, normal. You feel rested without needing something to force you awake. Sleep becomes deeper. Your energy starts feeling more stable instead of rising and crashing throughout the day. Some people even notice brighter teeth, fewer feelings of anxiety, and more consistent focus. Others may notice something unexpected. They become hungrier. Because coffee can quietly suppress appetite, meaning your body may finally begin asking for the food it actually wanted all along. And this is where the story becomes interesting. Because quitting coffee doesn't automatically make everyone healthier. Some people lose weight, some gain weight, and some feel incredible. Others decide they miss coffee and go right back, which raises one final question. Was coffee really the problem? So here's the real truth. Coffee was never secretly destroying your body. For most people, moderate amounts are unlikely to cause serious harm. The real issue is something else. Over time, many people stop drinking coffee because they enjoy it, and start drinking it because they feel like they need it. And there is a difference between enjoying something and depending on something. Because coffee doesn't magically create energy from nowhere. Eventually, your body pays back what it borrowed. The strange thing is that after you finally make it through withdrawal, many people discover that what they thought was extra energy was sometimes just temporary chemistry. And underneath it was something they hadn't felt in a very long time. Their own natural rhythm. If this helped you understand what's really happening inside your body, share it with someone who says they can't function without coffee, because they might be more curious about the answer than they think.